Hello there everybody and welcome to another tier list. It's only been like 6 months, 7 months, 7.5 months since the last one. I'm very sorry about that. It's not my fault. It's entirely my fault. Don't listen to me. But for right now, today, we are back. We're going to be doing Isekai series. Of course, that is 7 months from when I'm recording this. No idea when this is going to go out. But no, today we're going to do Isekai series tier list thing. Now, some rules, obviously, if I don't talk about it, that means I've not seen it. This is only shows that I have seen. Obviously, this is my own opinion. We got our own tiers here. We got S, which is the best of the best. We got A, which is pretty darn great. B is just, it's okay. C, barely tolerable. And D is the absolute worst, the worst of the worst. And, oh boy, looking at this list I've compiled, yeah, there's going to be quite a few things in the worst. I'm just going to... You'll be able to tell what my my parameters for the worst is once we get to it. But anyway, this is alphabetical, so let's get right into it with Arifureta. Now, it's bad, right? It is bad. But it's mostly bad because of the anime, if that makes sense. Like, it's almost entirely, like, because they compress the story too much and the animation's crap. Like, if it had even a competent anime, I think it would be alright. But it's not the worst. I enjoyed it too much for it to be the worst. Which, I'm going to put it in C, barely tolerable. Because I did enjoy it, you know. It was at least not the same story over and over again. It wasn't the same Kirito clone, you know, going to a guild and getting a harem, you know, and boy, you bet there's going to be some of that on here. Yeah, there is. Okay, moving swiftly along, we have Bofuri. Now, Bofuri, I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning. We're including virtual world isekais, so like SAO is going to come later on. But for right now, we have Bofuri. I know that's a whole argument, it's like, do virtual worlds count? Basically, I'm including them just so I have more stuff to talk about, and that's the only reason. I'm not interested in restarting that argument. I mean, I say restarting, it never really ended. Bofuri was surprisingly good, though, from what I remember. Like, I think I went into it expecting not a whole lot, and for some reason, like, it was well animated. It was, you know, kind of moe blobby, but hey, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm torn between A and B. I think I'm going to go B. I don't think it's quite an A yet. Although there's a second season coming out, which, you know, will either solidify it as a B or boost it to an A, in my opinion. Arifureta also has a second season coming soon. Hopefully that'll boost that as well. Bofuri I did like. It was like, it's Shield Art Online, basically, in case you've not seen it. And I guess I'll explain Arifureta as well in a minute. Shield Art Online, she puts all her points into defense because she doesn't want to take any damage and ends up accidentally breaking the game. And I liked it because it felt like they were playing a game. Like, often when they're in a virtual world, it feels like they take it way, way too seriously, even when they shouldn't be. I liked it. Arifureta, dude gets summoned to another world. I'm not even going to say that. That's the last time I'm going to say summoned to another world because that's just part of the job, obviously. Gets betrayed by his classmates. They're all good and he's a bit crap, and then he goes all Tokyo Ghoul and eats something and his hair turns white and he meets a lolly vampire and they bang a little bit. You don't see that. This isn't like Redo of Healer. Is Redo of Healer an isekai? It's not on here because I don't want to talk about it, but I guess you could technically make the argument, but I'm not going to. But okay, moving swiftly along now that I've spoke about what those two are. Cautious Hero. Now, Cautious Hero, I'm in two minds about, because I think the one joke is obviously, oh, he's cautious, but he's really, really strong, so he one-hits everything, but he's very prepared. And yeah, the joke is fine, but it wears a little bit, you know. This show is absolutely, I think you have two reactions to this show. You either like the comedy, and then, can I talk about the end? It's not a massive spoiler, there's just a massive, I mean, it's kind of a spoiler, so mute your microphone if you don't want to hear, or your headphones even. Towards the end, the last 2-3 episodes is a massive tonal shift. It gets really dark out of literally nowhere. And people are in two minds about it. They either really like the comedy bit and then think the dark thing is out of place, or they found the comedy but then like the dark stuff is where it got interesting. And I'm in that second camp. I liked it more towards the end than I did at the beginning. Like, okay, no, I liked it at the beginning, but then the joke, you know, wore thin real quick, real quick, and then it got really dark out of nowhere, and I was like, okay, I can deal with this. It kind of felt like it was two separate shows, if I'm being honest, but it's not. I think it's still okay. It's not Arifureta bad, but I don't think it's in the top echelon. I don't think, no, this doesn't have a second season. It could do with the second season. I'd be alright with that. I'd be alright with Cautious Hero Season 2. But I guess we have the cameo in Isekai Quartet to tide us over until then. Okay, moving on. We have one of the more recent ones in Combatants Will Be Dispatched. So this is from the author of Konosuba. It's very recent. It literally just aired. Cautious Hero, I keep forgetting to say what the show's about. Cautious Hero, she summons a hero, the goddess, and he's really strong, but he's very cautious as well, so he plans everything out in advance. As I said, it's the one joke wears thin real quick. Combatants Will Be Dispatched from the author of Konosuba. What happens in this one? I debated including this one or not, but I guess it is technically an isekai, although it feels way more sci-fi than, you know, fantasy. He's an evil agent for an evil organization, and he gets sent on a mission to basically take over another planet, another world, whatever you want to call it. Along with his lolly robot friend, aka Megamin with a shotgun, as most people tend to refer to her as. And yeah, this was fine. I think this show got crapped on a little bit because it's JC staff who are you know, not very well, not known for their decent anime. They've made some good stuff, but you know, if you're gonna like look at everything, it's more bad than good. But no, I thought it was alright. I thought it was, like, I think a lot of people got turned off because the first big joke was was it a Dick Festival or whatever it was? And that was not funny. That was very stupid. And nobody agrees that's funny. It's just stupid, really. But after that, I thought there was a lot, I think a lot, it got better. But not to the level of Konosuba, which we'll get to a bit later on. But no, Combatants Will Be Dispatched. I'm going to stick it in B for now, but it may drop to a C. Like, I think C is like, I enjoyed it, but there's problems with it. And then D is like, this was crap. I think that's what I'm thinking in my head right now. Okay, moving right along, we have, oh boy, we have Conception. Now, Conception, based on a video game, which is your first bad sign, right? It's basically he gets sent to another world with his cousin or childhood friend, I forget which, and then basically they have to make babies to save, and the babies then fight because they're like magic babies, and then he like commands the magic babies and helps them fight the evil. And when I say they make babies, though, you may be thinking this shouldn't be an anime, this should be a animation. But no, they don't make babies, they just like hold hands and then the baby pops out. And it's bad. It's bad. It's not even just bad because of the concept, it's in the worst. It's not bad just because of the concept, because if they had gone properly outrageous, it might have been at least somewhat entertaining, but it was just your bog standard harem. Like every episode focused on a different one of the girls. I forget what, Star Children or something they were called, or Star Maidens. They were Star Maidens. It's just really bad. It was like proper generic, like, and the fighting, I think they barely fought, right? All the fighting happens off screen. In fact, they make a joke about it. I'm going to assume they had no budget for fight scenes, because there's literally like the little stupid raccoon thing would be like, imagine there's a really cool fight scene happening here and check the website. Obviously this was made to, I think, to help promote the remake of the first Conception game, which I own. I've not actually played it, but I actually do own it. Why did I buy it? Because it was cheap on sale. That's the reason. It was cheap on sale. But no, Conception, the anime, don't waste your time. I think D is probably a don't waste your time. Like, I think D is bottom of the barrel. Speaking of D and being bottom of the barrel, we have a Death March to this Parallel World Rhapsody. Now, I don't remember this show. Like, most of these I can at least remember. I think in this one, he was like working at like an office job, and he worked way too many hours and ended up dying because he was working. He like overworked himself to death, and then he wakes up in a fantasy world and is strong. I think it's like the world of a game he might have been designing. I can't remember if that's this one. He gets slaves. I I don't remember this one. I want to say I have more for you, but I really don't actually remember this one. I feel bad, like, because I've forgotten. But no, this was a few years ago. I'm honestly questioning why I watched this now, thinking about it. It wasn't good. Like, I'm talking it like it's worse than Conception. Conception was worse, but Conception at least had a bonkers concept to at least be more memorable. Whereas this is kind of ridiculous. But I don't have much more to say on that because I don't remember much. Why is there so much, like... We've not had anything great yet. We'll get there. Next we have Demon Lord Retry. I forgot what the hell this show was. Demon Lord Retry is one of the most... I don't know what to make of it. It's so bizarre. It wasn't very well animated. It looked super low budget. The dude... Hang on, I'll put it... There we go. Put it in D. Honestly, it's better than these other two because it's at least a little bit more unique. Is it? No, I don't think it is. It's more unique in the sense that the character designs are alright. Like, these two you can kind of see, the other two in D, the character designs look a little generic. Deathmatch is a bit small, but trust me. Whereas, at least in... Oh, no, there's just yellow Rem. Just remember, there's small yellow Rem, and then there's the pink princess. Never mind, I just think the main dude looks cool in a suit. That's... I don't remember what this show was about. I think he was a game designer again? Or he was like a head of a game guild or something, and he summons the AIs at some point to help him fight. And there's princesses that he helps. I don't remember this one. It wasn't good. I think if I don't remember it, it's gotta be a D, right? Just automatically. But can we talk about a good show now? I think we should talk about a good show now. Don't know about you guys, but I really want to talk about a good show. That is The Devil is a Part-Timer. Where did Season 2 come from, by the way? That came literally out of nowhere, but I'm excited about it. Devil is a Part-Timer. The Devil from another... This is actually a reverse Isekai, which counts for this list. Shut up. Devil from another world, and also the hero as well, they're fighting in their parallel world, and then Devil's like, crap, run away, and he retreats to the human world. And you may be thinking, hey, dude's going to take over the world. He's the Demon King, right? But it's like, nah, man's got to pay some rent, so he goes to work at McDonald's, basically. And that's the plot. The basic plot. Now, if you're thinking that sounds dumb, you're right, it is dumb. But if you're also thinking that sounds incredible, you're right, it is incredible. It's so good, it's so refreshing, very funny. Not seen it in a while. I think it's going to go in A. I don't think it's quite S. It's by White Fox, the same studio that did ReZero, which is later on this list, funnily enough, because it's an isekai. Devil is a Part-Timer is very good. Very, very good. You have all the good characters, like the tsundere. There's Emi, she's the tsundere, and then there's a Boobs, Opai, which is Chiho. And then Mao is good. Lucifer is good. The white-haired guy is good, whose name I can't remember. Trust me. Yeah, it's very good, very funny. Don't take it too seriously. If I remember right, the first season, which is all that's out at the moment, is only like the first 2 light novels, and I think they're on like light novel 30. I think it's finished. Or maybe it's like 23 or so. I forget. It's finished regardless. They can make loads of seasons of the anime, and maybe they will, now that the second season has been announced 10 years after the first. Which is crazy, but not unwelcome. Not unwelcome at all. Okay, next we have Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life? So, this show, she has... What was this show? This is going to happen a lot. If I remember right, she wants to be average in her next life, so she's not like a hero or nothing. But the deity or whatever that revives her, if I remember, misconstrues that and thinks, oh, you want to be average of everything in the world. So... She's not an average human, she's just an average being in the world, which is way stronger than the average human. I thought this was fine, it was just cute girls doing isekai, basically. I'm torn between B and C. I'm looking at what else we got. I don't think there's going to be many things to fill out C. Did I like it more or less than Combatants Will Be Dispatched? Less. It's going in C. It's going in C. I don't think it was that bad, but... It was just kind of there, you know? It was, funnily enough, considering the title, it was average. It was, I mean, average should be B, really, but no, it was fine. It was fine, you know? I think this is my personal opinion. Things might not exactly add up, but it's fine. Next we have, oh boy, another great one. Do You Love Your Mum and Her 2-hit multi-target attacks. This show was pretty darn pants from what I remember. Oh god, the first few episodes were alright because it was kind of unique. It was like dude gets isekai'd or into a game world or whatever with his mum and they gotta like bond. And yeah, that's not too bad. And then they start bonding. And by bonding, you're thinking exactly the same thing as me. There's like a slippery scene. It's like, bruh. And then you read the doujins, and it's like, no, why you do this? I shouldn't take the doujins into account, but it's the first thing that comes to mind when I think of this show. Because the rest of the show was pants. The resolutions to the plot was crap, from what I remember. It wasn't very good. D. I was thinking about giving it a C just for having a somewhat new concept, but then I thought about it some more and no, it's a D. It's a D. It's definitely a D. It's not as bad. Conception go at the back because Conception's the bloody worst. Or it's not the worst. We'll get to something that's worse a bit later on. Soon, in fact. Fairly soon. Okay, next we have Familiar of Zero, which is probably one of the first isekai I saw. Like, I think I read in an article Familiar of Zero was like the inspiration for a lot of isekai. Like I think I read the ReZero author like started by writing like Familiar of Zero fanfics, which is I think that's an interesting tidbit. You know, you can find a lot of Familiar of Zero fanfics with generic, you know, OCs because it's an easy premise basically. The plot of this one is they're at like Hogwarts, like a wizard school, and the Tsundere-chan, Luis, summons a human, which is like, that's not meant to happen because they're trying to summon Familiar, and she's a Zero, right? That's why it's Familiar of Zero, because that's what he is. And he's like, he gets a talking sword, and they go on all kinds of adventures. I remember really liking Familiar. No, I didn't. I liked Familiar of Zero, but I think towards the end I just wanted it to be over. But I think overall, I think B. It's kind of harem-y. If I remember right, like in between the first and second season, something happens and the main character gets ridiculously pervy. Like he's fine in the first season, and in the second season he's like proper like high school DxD level pervs. Which, how did that happen? I have no idea. But no, it was a fun enough show, I guess. I can't remember anything that really happens in it. They like fight a dude on a Pegasus at some point, I think. He fights an army at some point. That was good. That point was definitely good, I remember. I don't remember the context. Maybe I should rewatch it. Who knows? Next we have How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. Now, Season 2 recently finished. Didn't think Season 2 was as good as Season 1. But I didn't think it was that bad, honestly. I think, like, it was, like, just considering how low the budget must have been, considering the animation and everything, I thought it was pretty enjoyable still. But what this show's about is, like, dude gets summoned to another world, and because he's, like, a socially awkward nerd-type dude, he acts as a demon lord to be able to talk to people, because he's basically role-playing so he can talk to girls, basically. And it's also super ecchi, which, if you're not into that, fine. I think it's great. I like How Not to Summon the Demon Lord. I think it's a pretty fun show, all things considered. Nothing groundbreaking, and as I said, the second season seems to have the budget of a spoon, but I liked it. I liked it nonetheless. Best girl? I don't know. Rem? Rem is best girl. Who's Rem? Ha 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 ha! Different show, fool. Right now, we have, moving on, into another bad show, which is great. This list has made me realize I've seen a lot of crap isekai, which, you know, says more about me than I care to admit. It's In Another World with My Smartphone. It's going in D. For a long while, I thought this wouldn't ever get beaten out as the worst isekai I've seen. It's so generic. Basically, the plot is dude gets resurrected with his smartphone, and that's literally it. He's also really OP because God feels bad that he accidentally killed him with a lightning strike or something. So he's got like all the magic, and that's like really good, and he gets a harem. Like, the only thing I kind of like about Smartphone, and this might be inaccurate, but I've like seen some things posted somewhere that like in the light novels he's like got like 12 wives and is like the king of like 3 countries or something. Now, if that's true, I almost like how over the top and stupid that is. Like, that's almost self-aware, but the story itself, in the anime, which is what we're focusing on, is really bland and uninteresting. So it's got to go in D. I actually do have the first light novel, and I read it, and I was like, maybe it'll change my mind, and it didn't. So now it's just sitting there. One day I'll buy the whole series. God, no. I won't really buy the whole series. I might do. Who knows? Who knows? That could make a funny video. This insane man reads all of Smartphone, even though he hates it. That's a great video. Okay, moving right along. We have... Now, this is a tough one for me, because this is the only show on here I haven't actually finished. And it's Inuyasha. It's the oldest show on here as well, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Inuyasha... It sucks to have an... I don't really have an opinion. Basically, main character Kagome falls into a well, from what I remember, and she ends up back in time in feudal era Japan. Now, you may be thinking, that's not an isekai, that's just time travel. It's different enough to where I'm counting it, so I don't like it. Now, as I said, I'm not actually that far in Inuyasha. I think I'm only around, like, episode 30 or so, which, you know, I think it's like 200 episodes in all. Isn't that far, really? Isn't that far at all? So, oh man, I am enjoying what I've watched so far, though. But unlike the others, I don't really have a concrete thing. I'm gonna put it in B. That is mostly just because I don't have a strong opinion on it at the moment, due to, you know, I've not seen it all yet. But it's fine. I like it. I'm liking it so far. So yeah. Okay, moving right. Oh god. Next is Isekai Cheat Magician, which is the worst isekai I've seen. It is just bland. I don't even know what to say about this one. Dude gets summoned to another world with his friend, and they're both really good at magic, and that's it. That's the show. Did you know, for some reason, this show came out like 4 years ago, for some reason recently, there was a new episode, like a bonus episode that they put on things, and of course I had to watch it, and I'm just like, I don't remember who any of these characters are, but they're making shaved ice, and they're dancing, and yeah, this show was not good. I don't remember anything about it. It was probably the most, in a list that also contains Smartphone. It's kind of impressive that this managed to be even more generic than it, you know? Like, oh god. The only thing about this Isekai Cheat Magician is it isn't a harem, which I guess that's a minus point. I have no idea. It wasn't very good. I don't have much more to say. It wasn't very good. Thank God. Man, this list is really back-ended by good stuff. Like, the back end is a lot better than the front end. I guess that's a good thing? Who knows? Up next, Isekai Quartet. I love Isekai Quartet. I don't think you should... If you take it seriously, yeah, you're not going to enjoy it, because it's not supposed to be taken seriously. But I like it. I'm putting it in A. We're getting a bloody movie soon. That I didn't see. If there isn't an Endgame parody, that's a massive missed opportunity. But yeah, Isekai Quartet... Very fun. The plot of this one, basically, the characters of Overlord, Konosuba, ReZero, and Saga of Tanya the Evil all end up in a school in another world, and they just do hang out, I guess. And yeah, it's not the most, if you want, plot, but it's just weird to see these different characters hanging out and interacting. I really enjoyed it. It's pure, like, fan service, not in, like, the ecchi way, but, like, in the original sense of the word. I like Isekai Quartet a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. In Season 2 they add Shield Hero and Cautious Hero. So who knows what they're going to add in the movie. Maybe all these series will end up in the movie. No, that'd be impossible, but it would be flipping mental. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? You'd be like, oh my god, I recognize all these people. Crazy. I like Isekai Quartet a lot. I think it's... It can't be S tier. It could never be S tier just because of what it is. But I think it's pretty darn great, personally. Now, up next we have... I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. This is another one of the more recent isekai, along with Combatants will be dispatched, the most recent season, as of this filming. So if this comes out in 4 months, you'll know, when this has been filmed. Yeah, it's fine. I don't... This one, it's in the title. She dies, gets reincarnated, kills slimes for 300 years, and accidentally maxes out her level, and then she gets like a harem family type thing. I'm pretty on it. I think I'm gonna put it in C. It's nothing offensive. It's just in my opinion. It's very slice of lifey, and after a while I'm very strange. For me, slice of life, I don't think can hold up a whole season in a weird way. In isekai anyway. Like if it's another kind of show, I'm expecting it. It's an isekai slice of life. It's just kind of to me it can't hold it up. It's just not very interesting. I guess this list is probably going to show my tastes, which is, it's going to say a thing, or my lack of taste that it, might be. Okay, up next, oh thank god, up next we have Konosuba. Now Konosuba is obviously in the S tier. It's just really good, isn't it? It's just really, really good. It's funny. If you don't know the plot of Konosuba, dude gets killed by a truck, except not really. He just dies of shock, and it was a tractor, and they all laugh at his dead body. And the goddess is kind of a dick to him, so he brings her along with him to the fantasy world where he meets some other crazy people, and they go on crazy adventures, and it's very funny. It's, again, I don't know if you should take Konosuba too seriously for maximum enjoyment, but it's very funny. It's one of the best anime comedies, I would say. It deliberately plays on the isekai tropes, so, you know, I think it's really good. I think a lot of people really like Konosuba. I'm sure there'll be someone who's like, I hate Konosuba, which is like, okay, fair, you're allowed your opinion, but I don't agree with it. Konosuba, big fan of Konosuba, me. Hope they make more, because the last we had the movie, and that was good as well, so make more, basically. You know, there's no reason you can't make more. The light novels are finished now. Come on, do the whole story. What's wrong with you? Okay, moving right along, we have Log Horizon. Now, Log Horizon is an interesting case. Now, people will say Log Horizon gets worse as it goes along, with Season 3 being the worst. I'm honestly, like, maybe I'm remembering Season 1 wrong. I can't differentiate between any of the seasons in my head. It's been a while since I've seen the first 2 seasons, probably like around 5-6 years. But basically this one, this MMO they're all playing gets an update, and when it gets an update, all the players get sent to the world of the MMO, but it's not like a digital world, it's like a parallel world, which is the same as the MMO. I think I got that right. And they film a guild called Log Horizon, which is the name of the show, and it's very like politicky and world building. I really like it. I think Log Horizon is like, even the most recent season, which people said was crap, which I disagree with. I thought that was still really interesting too. So maybe that says a lot about me. I'm gonna put it in A. Like, I considered putting it in S, but I don't think I don't remember it enough. There aren't enough really good like moments. Like, moments for me are what make a show. Like, stuff you're gonna remember. And for me, Log Horizon doesn't quite have that. I still think it's really good, though, obviously. That's why it's in A. Maybe it is just a case of I need to rewatch it. But no, yeah. Log Horizon. I like Log Horizon. Log Horizon's good. Okay. Moving right along, we have... Okay, this is one of the hardest ones for me to do. Like, genuinely, like, I've ummed and ahed about this because it's Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. Now, by all rights, Mushoku Tensei could be an S. Has the best world building, really good animation, the story, like, it feels... I think I saw a really good post. It was like, these other isekai have got this got this, but Mushoku Tensei feels real, and that is exactly what it is. It is the most realistic isekai, I would say, as weird as a statement as that is. So, the only reason I'm thinking it can't go in S is because we've only got 11 episodes. And I think when we get more episodes and the story progresses more, it'll absolutely be an S, and it may even end up being one of the best isekai. But I think right now, I can't decide if I should judge it based on... Because what we got right now is really good. But I don't think there's enough to justify it being an S. I'm going to put it at the top of A. I'm going to put him in the bottom of S. I've changed my mind, guys. Bottom of S it goes. I think that could... Like I said, it could ease... I'm judging on what we got, which I think is really good. I know people are going to be dodgy about it because it's like, oh, the etchiness, and it's like, it's fiction. I don't care. I don't care, you know. People are complaining he doesn't grow in 11 episodes. I'm like, man, I know this series goes through his whole life and he's still like 12, you know. I'm not expecting him to grow up immediately. We'll have to see. Basically, I didn't even explain what the show is. The dude's like a otaku shut-in, and he gets reincarnated in another world, and he actually like spends time learning the magic and everything. I think it's pretty good. I think it's really good. Like, I was kind of blown away when I watched it. I was like, how did I miss this? How did I not watch this as it was airing? I had to go back and catch up. And yeah, very excited for second season that unfortunately got delayed, but I'm still excited for it nonetheless. Moving on, we have My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom. This was a pleasant surprise, I think. Yeah, this was, I mean, no, not I think. It was a pleasant surprise. Season 2 airing right now. She gets reincarnated in the world of her favorite Otome game as the Villainess character. So in order to not die, because she's the bad guy, or get exiled or whatever, she you know, tries to avoid the bad endings, basically. That's the show. And it's very funny because she ends up completely the opposite of the Villainess character. She's, you know, she's nice, she's pleasant, she gets on with everyone. and accidentally builds a harem, you know? This is a multi-gendered harem. It doesn't matter. Love knows no gender and all that. So I'm putting it in A. I think it's good, you know? I was between A and B, but I think I enjoy it way more than the stuff in B. I think it's the bottom of A, though. I've enjoyed these other 3 more than My Next Life's a Villainess. I still think it's good, though. Looking forward to seeing where Season 2 goes. It's just pleasant. I often forgot it was an isekai, and this is, yeah, like, a lot of these, you can actually forget they're isekai. Like, Next Life's a Villainess, you can forget it's an isekai. Maybe something like, maybe not really anything else on this list, but there's other stuff as well that you often forget. You forget that it's an isekai. We'll get to some more later on, because the isekai-ness doesn't really come into play, if you know what I mean. It's not too relevant to the plot. And I guess that's the one downside to a lot of isekai, is they never take their normal, like, human earth knowledge to the isekai world. It's kind of just whatever. Now, moving on from My Next Life's Villainess, we have No Game, No Life. Now, No Game, No Life, Season 2, please. First of all, we can't mention No Game, No Life without begging for Season 2. Yeah, it's good. I don't know what else to say. It's A. Everyone knows No Game, No Life because they beg for Season 2. This show, basically, the siblings, Sora and Shiro, get sent to a world where everything is decided by games, because they're like shut-ins, neats, and all that. Everything's decided by games, and they just decide, let's just beat God at chess. You know, why not? I think No Game No Life's really good. I think everyone agrees it's kind of really good. We'll move it up. It's better. I can't be bothered to order it. I'm not going to do that. No Game No Life is, yeah. And I actually think the movie's better than the series, Zero, but that's technically not an isekai, the movie, but it's part of the series, so I guess we'll count it along with it. I guess that's fine. Yeah, No Game No Life's really good. Really want more, please? That would be nice. That would be really nice. Okay, moving right along from No Game No Life. We have, I guess the one downside before we actually move on to No Game No Life is Shiro is 11, and yeah, there's some dodgy stuff, but the rest of the show is good enough to where I can look past that, if I'm being honest, you know. That's not why I'm here. It's pretty easy. Moving right along, we have Overlord. Now, I'm going to say something that's probably really controversial. I think Overlord is really overrated. I don't think it's bad, but people rave about Overlord a lot, and I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it. I think it's fine, but it's got too many problems for me to think it's really like on an A tier. You know, it's got way too many problems. Like the bad CG. When they talk all the time, their mouths don't move. It feels like a very lazy anime. And you know, I agree the world building's good, and the lizard men banging. We had to see that, didn't we? Yeah, we did. We definitely had to see that. Yeah, I think a lot of it could have been done better. You know, once you get the formula of, oh, let's develop these human characters, and then Ainz is gonna wreck them. You know, it's like, all right, it stops becoming fun. I think it's still fine. I think it's a B tier, honestly. That's gonna make some of my friends mad if they really like Overlord, but I think it's just okay. I'll still watch the 4th season and the movie. I like them enough for that. I should probably say what it's about. The game they're playing is getting shut down. But then when it shut down happens, he's still in the game. But then it's like, oh crap, I'm not actually in the game. His whole guild base gets sent to another world, not the world of the game, a different world, along with all the like AI guardians or whatever. And they're all there, like, and I wish they developed more of a personality, because you know, we don't spend enough time with the main characters to really like them, because we're always doing all the side characters, and then the side characters end up getting wrecked by Ainz. Yeah, I think Overlord's overrated. I'm gonna say it. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. I'd even call it still good, but I don't think it's as amazing as people say it is. I don't know what the score is on Mal or whatever, but this is just from my experience. People rave about it, and I don't think it's that good, personally. It's good, but it's not that good. Speaking of that good, ReZero now. I know ReZero's got a lot of haters recently, or, you know, because, you know, flaws have become more apparent or whatever, and people are entitled to their opinion. I don't think ReZero is perfect, but I think it's easily an S tier, and it's my favorite isekai. I really like it. The plot of this one, very quickly, dude ends up in another world, and he every time he dies, he rewinds in time, so he has to try and solve these various problems. and that's his only power. He's not like good at sword fighting. He's not OP, and I think that's the thing that I think makes it good, in my opinion. We'll have to see where things go from now after season 2 because of stuff that happens in that I'm not going to spoil. But yeah, both seasons, I think they put the characters to the front. They make you care, and I know people are going to be like, I don't care, but that's not the point. You know, they're trying to make you care. If you don't care, that's whatever. I think ReZero is really good. As I said, probably my favorite isekai. I think Mushoku Tensei, if it gets developed well and, you know, we get further and further into the story and it keeps being really good, that could overtake it. Konosuba is a close second anyway, but yeah, I would say these 3 are probably my top 3. I'm gonna say yeah. But yeah, ReZero, really like ReZero. I especially like the characters are what sell it for me. Like, I can't think of many characters I dislike that I'm not supposed to dislike. You know what I mean? Everyone, I at least am like, oh yeah, you're alright, you know. But moving on, we have the Rising of the Shield Hero. Now, Shield Hero is such a weird anime because for my money, it's like the most by the numbers isekai, but that is still good. You know what I mean? It's not like you know, like a Death March or a Smartphone where it's like it's so average and generic that it's bad. Like, Shield Hero doesn't do anything particularly exemplary. It's basically the plot. 4 heroes get summoned. He's the Shield Hero, which is the one that everyone craps on. He gets accused of something he didn't do, and is kind of like made a villain by everyone. No one likes him, but he's still good. And then he goes and actually like helps people, where the other heroes are kind of crappy. Yeah, I like Shield Hero. I'm excited for season 2. I'm gonna put it in A. As I said, I think it's the most generic good isekai, if that makes sense. Maybe generic's the wrong words. By the books, you know. It's just, yeah. It's just, he's got a shield this time, so it's obviously going to be different. It's still good, though. I don't know I can't put my finger on it, what makes it so different. Maybe it is just, like, the fight scenes were good, and, you know, you want to root for the main character. Like, something like Smartphone, there's no incentive to root for the main character. In Shield Hero, yes, everybody else is kind of a dick, so you kind of have to root for the main character, but that's still a reason to root for the main character. And I think that's kind of what you need. And then obviously the scene towards the end, which is so therapeutic and great. Everyone likes that scene. And it works, you know? What can I say? It works. Up next, we have the Saga of Tanya the Evil. Now, this is a similar boat to Overlord, although not as severe, I don't think. Well, I kind of think it's overrated. It's fine. It is so different that it's really hard to judge it along the rest of these. I think I'm going to put it in B. Like, I enjoyed it, but like, there's just something about it. I don't know what it is. Like, I think the character designs are just really ugly, for one. Like, they're unique, but they just don't look right. I remember I watched recently the Pasta OVA that they recently released when they announced season 2. And man, yeah, something it just didn't look right. It just looks weird. I don't know if it's the lips or the eyes or what. And it really distracted me throughout the show. I think the whole concept of the, like, war, it's like a war isekai, and it's not really fantasy, it's more sci-fi-ish. It's interesting. It's basically World War II with magic flying guns, basically, or whatever. Magic, they can fly. I think it's a really interesting concept. I just don't think it was particularly for me. And if I remember right, I only watched it because Isekai Quartet was coming out and I needed to watch all the shows. I don't think it's bad, though. I think B is perfectly reasonable. Yeah, I think that works. This show's about, basically, he's like a salaryman who dies, gets pushed into a train, if I remember right, and then gets reincarnated as a lolly because he pissed off God. And then he's a lolly now. I don't know what else to add to that. I also don't really like how, like, no one except Tanya really has that much of a personality. Like, when I think of the Tanya characters, my brain doesn't go to Tanya the Evil, my brain goes to Isekai Quartet, you know, which, is that a problem? It might be, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Moving on. What is this show? Seven Senses of the Reunion. That's what this show is. I legit had to take a moment then. Now, Seven Senses of the Reunion, it's basically Anohana and Sword Art mixed together. Basically, they have a friend. It's a group. It's a guild. They have a friend who dies, and then the guild sort of splits apart, and they all come together again because the one that died has appeared in the game and she's like just a player in the game again, and it's like she's back to life. It's literally just like Anohana, right? Unlike Anohana, this show sort of fails like to grab you. Like, I was just really confused. They just kept cucking each other. Like, the red girl liked the main guy, but then the main guy liked the dead girl, and there was another dude who liked the dead girl, but then he all of a sudden didn't like the dead girl. Or did he like the red girl? And then he liked the glasses girl. See, I don't remember anything about this show other than the stupid love pentagon or whatever it was. And there was like one dude who didn't want to get involved in any of that, and then there was like this mysterious purple girl who just, I guess she was also a guild member, but they don't really explain it. I don't know where to put this show. I'm between C and D. Like, it really didn't do anything for me, but I don't know if it was enough to be in the worst. I'm gonna put it at the... It's either the bottom of C or like somewhere in D, and I just can't... we'll put it in C just because C's not that full. that's my reasoning. But it's the bottom of C. Like, it was pretty darn bad. I don't remember much about it. Moving on. Oh, this is kind of a joke entry, and it's a moment for me to catch my breath. Hey guys, do you want to go fast? Do you gotta go really, really fast? It's Sonic X. Sonic X is in the C tier. Technically, it's an isekai, reverse isekai, because at the first episode, Sonic and friends gets brought to Earth across worlds. So technically, it counts as an isekai, alright. But yeah, it's the Sonic anime. It's probably not actually that good. My childhood memories are, it was my childhood one, and it was fine from what I remember, although I'm sure if I watched it now, I'd find a lot wrong with it, but, Kid Me was satisfied, so Kid Me will, and then in the second half or whatever, they go back to Sonic's world, and they, like, fly through space and fight robot aliens. Am I remembering have I made this up? This is some bizarre Sonic fanfiction that actually happened, right? I don't remember, but yeah, Sonic X, yeah, C tier. If I went any higher, that'd be ridiculous, but I refuse to put it in D tier, quite frankly. Alright, now the controversial one. Okay, now, the next one is Sword Art Online, right? Now, no matter where I put Sword Art Online, people are gonna complain, right? If I put it, like, up here in S, people are gonna be like, what is wrong with you? Are you high? And if I put it in D, people are gonna be like, how dare you, Sword Art Online saved my children. Kirito literally baptized my child. What's wrong with you? So, I'm going to have to flip in talk. I'm going to put it in B, right? And I'm going to talk through it right now. So, Sword Art Online, in case you weren't aware of the plot of Sword Art Online, the beginning, they get trapped in a game called Sword Art Online. That's the name of the show. And if they die in the game, they die in the real life, which is a great concept for an anime. I don't think anyone disputes that. That's a great concept for a show. Obviously, the execution left a lot to be desired to a lot of people. Disclosure, I actually like Sword Art Online. Like, I think especially towards, the second half, I think it gets better. I'm not going to argue that it doesn't have a lot of problems, because it really, really does. And that's why I pretty much put it in B, because, like, I'm looking at these shows as isekai series, right? I don't consider Sword Art Online an isekai, really. Like, they spend too much time... Like, if we're going to talk about isekai, like, the first half of Season 1 and then Alicization, maybe, is isekai. Everything else, I don't really consider isekai. But I like Sword Art Online. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Is it, rose-tinted glasses, bias, because it was one of my first proper anime? Yes, absolutely. Do I think it's got a lot of problems? Yes, the cast could be developed more. There's a lot of things that they could do a lot better, but, do I think that what we've got is completely irredeemable garbage? Also, no. I think, objectively, I think it's just fine, but I'm biased, so I like it, basically. If I'm being objective, I think it's fine. It's just fine. Like, there's I think a lot of people's problems is it's so popular compared to how, where the quality should be for it to be that popular. I think is where a lot of people's issues really are, because these shows are absolutely worse than the D tier. These are absolutely worse than Sword Art Online. But yeah, I'm not gonna get into that whole thing. Maybe I'll do another video where I'm just like the pros and cons of Sword Art Online. I just don't want to get in that argument, so I'm not going to right now. Moving on, we have that time I got reincarnated as a slime, which I struggle to say because I've been talking for how long now? 40 minutes? I have no idea how long I've been talking. Isekai Slime is pretty interesting. I like Isekai Slime. The plot of this one, dude gets stabbed and he gets reincarnated as a slime, though you don't say, and then he begins building his own country, civilization style. It's pretty chill, honestly. It is pretty chill. Some of my favourite moments in the slime, at least season 1, were when they were just chilling around the town. But then in season 2, things like season 2, I remember especially the first half, the second half's back now. The first half of season 2 was very slow at the beginning, and then everything kicked off, right? I think I like Slime. Slime's an A for me. It's very enjoyable, and we've got quite a lot more to go from what I remember reading briefly of the light novels. We've got a lot more to come, so here's to many more years of Isekai Slime anime. It's fun. My biggest problem with Isekai Slime is most of the characters, you know, they don't, there's not a lot to them, right? Like, other than like Rimuru, it's just like everyone else is just, it's Rimuru's friends, his gang of minions that are gonna help because he's great, you know. But yeah, I get the show is about him. And then there's the spin-off. Ironically, the spin-off Slime Diaries actually did more with the other characters than the main series did. But that's not necessarily a good thing. But I know I've been pretty down on Slime, but that's just because for the most part, everything else is just really solid. Like, I'm just naming the problems because everything else is pretty good. Finally, we're at the end though. We got one more series to go. And it is Wise Man's Grandchild, Kenja no Mago. This show was... Okay, so first it's an isekai, and then the dude goes to a battle school, so it's literally the most average thing you can imagine, right? Oh man, I don't know where to put this show. It's between C and D, just for the record. No, I didn't like this show. What am I saying? It's a D. It's not as bad as... It's... Yeah, you know what? D tier... That's the tier list. D tier is in order. D tier is D tier and S tier are like in order. Everything else isn't. Yeah, Wise Man's Grandchild. The one good thing about this show is that he actually applied like real world knowledge. Like, he was able to make his flame magic better because he knew how fire worked in the real world and applied physics to it to make everything better. Which is why he was able to be so strong. So it was nice to at least have an explanation as to why the guy was so much better than everyone else. But at the same time, it was just really really not very good. Also, kind of nice that the main guy actually got with a girl in the season. You know, if you look through these anime right here. Okay, let's count how many the main dude actually gets with a girl. 1. We're at 1 so far, guys. We're at 1. The Familiar Zero 2. Inuyasha is probably a 3. I've not got that far yet. SAO 4. Arifureta 5. So I guess 6. Out of these, I think I got 31 here. In 6 of them, the main dude actually ends up... Oh, no, Smartphone ends up with like all of them. Never mind. And Conception. Never mind. There are more of these than I would think. But I know I kind of undermined my own point then. But yeah, it was... Wise Man's Grandchild was just I really didn't like it. I remember watching it and I was like, I couldn't even remember why I was watching it. It was like, the only reason I'm still here is because I've got this far, basically. I was just waiting for it to be over. But yeah, that's my Isekai tier list. I'm just looking through it now to see if everything is in order and everything looks fine. I can't think of anything much to change. I'm sure people will disagree. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. We'll quickly go through it. In the S tier, we have ReZero, Konosuba, and Mushoku Tensei. The A tier, we have Devil is a Part-Timer, Isekai Quartet, Log Horizon, No Game No Life, My Next Life is a Villainess, Rise of the Shield Hero, and that time I got reincarnated as a slime. In B, we have Bofuri, Cautious Hero, Combatants Will Be Dispatched, Familiar of Zero, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, Inuyasha, Overlord, Saga of Tanya the Evil, and Sword Art Online. In C, we have Arifureta. Didn't I say to make my abilities average in the next life? I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. 7 Senses of the Reunion, I think it's called. It was not very good. And Sonic X. And in D, the worst, we have Death March to This Parallel World Rhapsody. Demon Lord Retry. Do You Love Your Mum and Her 2-hit multi-target attacks. Wise Man's Grandchild. In Another World with My Smartphone. Conception. And Isekai Cheat Magician. And boy, let's just get this out of the way now. What isekai have I not seen that are pretty good? If you're like, hey, you missed this, I didn't miss it, I haven't seen it. So yeah, I'm open to recommendations for stuff. Do you like this list? Do you agree with me? Do you think my opinion is trash? That's okay if you do, because I'll put a link in the description for this tier list, and you can do one yourself. And then, you know, I'll have a look at it when I've got the time. Post it to me on Twitter, which I never use, but I'll look if people post stuff to me. But for right now, though, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe for more tier lists. I promise I won't take 6 to 7 months this time to get it out. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Take care, and bye, guys.